Hey there, my name's Niandra, and if it wasn't already obvious from my last two videos, I have played Overwatch 2 already, as have many other content creators. So I thought I would do a quick video talking about some of my thoughts. Keep in mind we played an early version, so things can and will change. Don't take anything in this video as complete gospel, and I'll be doing a video talking about Mercy specifically a day after this video goes live. Okay, so overall, I think the best way to describe Overwatch 2 is well, it's more Overwatch, which, like, I'm not saying is a bad thing whatsoever. I think the core foundation of this game is so extremely strong. Yeah, it was fun and exciting, and I think a lot of people are gonna have a good time with it. With 5v5, I think it plays a lot better than it has looked, and I was quite into it. If 5v5 isn't something you are stoked for, I'd say there's a fair chance you'll change your mind at least a little bit. I think the most common sentiment until we get used to it will be, I prefer 6v6, but 5v5 doesn't make things worse. Like, 5v5 doesn't add much, but it doesn't detract either. The tanks themselves seem to be a little bit of a mixed bag, but mostly really good actually. One thing that was quite interesting is that I almost never saw Sigma, but saw everyone else fairly often. Personally, I thought Orisa and Doomfist reworks were especially good. Something small that I thought was really cool was the new map terrain. So what this means is currently existing Overwatch 1 maps have been edited to have more props scattered about for cover to make up for losing a tank. I definitely didn't find every spot, but I thought this was a really neat and thoughtful addition. There's also the day-night variations where you may see Night Route 66 or Night Oasis, and I really love this. It's a great subtle way of making the maps feel fresh. Also, the models of the characters have not been changed, but the lighting had, and in general the game it looks so stunning. To talk about some of the negatives, my least favourite part of Overwatch 2 was how overwhelming things could feel in a bad way. So when you take damage, it can be very loud. There's also a bit of screen shake when you're hit by certain things like a Doomfist punch or Junkrat mine. Obviously stuff like this you get used to it over time, so I don't want to be like, oh, I played the game for 10 hours and I demand Blizzard change things they worked on for months for me specifically, but I do kind of want this looked at, preferably in the form of accessibility options. Overwatch has never given me headaches, at least not this way, but I did find myself with a tiny one after a long session on the alpha with high ping. Moving on, let's talk about Sojourn. So I immediately knew that people would be unhappy to learn she's a DPS, and I do think those concerns are very valid, especially when we've heard basically nothing about the other heroes. That being said, I think people will feel better once they play her. Basically, at this point, the way I see it is, if Sojourn is fun, then I don't really mind if she's another DPS. Personally, I think her kit is really cool, if maybe still a bit too strong. I remember when her kit was revealed, a lot of people were confused why she had CC in the form of a snare, because the devs have said that they want to move away from non-tanks having CC. Honestly, the slowdown on the snare it's really not that noticeable, and the damage aspect is a lot more scary. Her primary fire is a very standard FPS assault rifle, but her railgun requires a lot of precision, so I think she appeals to both casual and hardcore players. Like, she's definitely friendly to someone who hasn't played Overwatch before, which I assume was intentional. One Reddit post I saw that I thought was really interesting, and I very much agreed with it. It mentions how ults in Overwatch don't usually require much mechanical skill. Normally they need to be timed and positioned well, but Sojourn's ult essentially just makes her aim-intensive railgun better. Because of that, I think she's going to be really fun to watch in like AOL or at high levels. So I want to close this video by talking about supports. I think a lot of people are worried about this role since we just haven't heard much about it and where they want to go with it. Unfortunately, supports felt the least impressive out of the three. I think a large part of it was because they just haven't been changed much, and if they have been touched, it's generally to make them weaker, which is fair. There's lots of people who think supports are too good in the live game, but it also means they're just kind of not that exciting. I know there are a few support main content creators who generally stuck to DPS and tank during the alpha because they just kind of weren't into how their usual favourites felt. For example, I kept running into EVA and we had a bit of a chat and she was just like, oh yeah, I've mostly just played Soldier, I've barely touched Mercy, which, you know, is pretty telling. I'm really hoping there'll be some changes to supports before the next beta starts. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say for now. Thank you so much for watching, check out my other Overwatch 2 videos, and have a nice day!